What's up, I'm Jim Pro, and this is the Ready Check Pull quick preview of the Prototype Pantheon. This is the council fight of the raid. There's 4 bosses, and each boss is a manifestation of one of the 4 covenants. The main idea is that you'll fight 2 of the bosses at the same time for Phase 1, the next 2 bosses for Phase 2, and then finally all 4 bosses at the same time for Phase 3. Alright, let's go over some of the abilities. In Phase 1, you'll fight War and Duty first. The most important mechanic of Phase 1 is the 4 adds that spawn spread out around the room. These adds create an expanding pool in the middle of the room that does damage and massively reduces healing received. The pool starts small but will eventually take over the entire room if the adds aren't killed quickly. Every so often, Duty will jump into the air and spawn a bunch of swirlies on the ground while also pushing everyone back for several seconds. The pushback is super similar to the last boss in Spires of Ascension. Duty always seems to ascend from the same spot, so keeping the bosses stacked shouldn't be too difficult. There's also a few minor things going on in Phase 1. There's a dot that goes out on random players that can be removed once the player stands in the glowy patch on the ground. There's a familiar taunt swap, and lastly, there's a random cast that needs to be chain interrupted. When either of the bosses hits 50%, they'll both retreat and the next 2 bosses become active, starting Phase 2. In this phase, you'll fight Absolution and Renewal. Absolution has several mechanics that are brought over from the Sire Denathrius fight, like the taunt swap, which is exactly the same as Racking Pain. It's even called Racking Pain. But more importantly, the boss does the Hand of Destruction ability that sucks the entire raid to the boss, exploding after several seconds, doing less damage the further away you are from the boss. But to make things a little spicier, after each suck explosion, the whole raid will need to quickly spread out to avoid the prideful-like lasers that shoot out from each player. Renewal's main mechanic is centered around these damaged seed pods that spawn. When the pods are healed to full, they do a big heal to the raid and more importantly, put a stacking healing done increase to players. If you time these seeds correctly, you can keep a massive healing buff on the raid for a super long time. While all of that is going on, you'll have some soul shapes to dodge as well as a cast to interrupt. When either of the bosses gets to 50%, Phase 3 starts. In Phase 3, you'll fight all 4 bosses at the same time, which means you'll be dealing with all of their abilities. The main difficulty of the phase is positioning your raid when the Hand of Destruction suck happens. You'll get sucked by the boss, you'll run away, avoiding an insane amount of stuff trying to kill you, and at the same time the raid needs to spread out to dodge the lasers coming from each player, all while still doing the other mechanics like interrupting, taunt swapping, and everything else. Phase 3 is for sure when you're going to want a Bloodlust, and let me tell you, it's one hell of a Bloodlust. You'll have 4 targets to just blast on, all needing to be cleaved down at the same time to ensure you kill them as close together as possible. When this happens, it's like every WoW Raider's dream scenario. I really hope they keep this part of the fight exactly the way it is. It's insanely fun. Our official guide for this boss will be out early for our Patreon supporters, so if you're interested in that or you just want to keep us going, check out the links below. Peace.